Buckle up!
Hi everyone, welcome to Buckle Up Podcast. I'm Natalia Earl and I'm a certified business and life coach that loves talking to people. I'm fascinated by humans and how our brain works. What is it that makes a decision good or bad, and how does that decision ultimately shape our path and destiny? Everyone loves to talk about success, but what about the flip side? How about adversity, failure? It's such a big and often necessary part of life, and it's simply unavoidable. So I invite you to join me on this inspiring, honest, unpolished interview show with breathtakingly real conversations that go deep on setbacks and hardships that are part of the puzzle that ultimately lead to growth, discovery of inner greatness, and what makes us resilient.
Buckle up!
Grab your helmet and buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but what a ride it will be. Today's guest, Mike Campbell, is a founder of 1 Mile. Team 1 Mile combines veterans and civilians to recreate the teamwork and purpose needed to succeed. By offering once-in-a-lifetime challenges, they're able to reignite the spark these heroes have deep inside them. Mike has spent the past 18 years running local endurance clubs and playing a major role in keeping his community active. Mike has enjoyed racing all-distance triathlons and recently completed his 4th full Ironman. So tell us a little bit about 1 Mile. Why did you start it, and what the organization stands for?
Yeah, so again, going back to myself, I retired early. And as exciting as that sounds, it brings the challenges, and it brings the challenges of purpose, daily purpose. And I fell into some of my own pitfalls. My own demons started coming to the surface. So I've actually been sober almost 4 years now.
Congratulations.
So I just had, thank you. I had to make some changes in life, because again, without the guardrails and without structure, things can just start to fall apart. And I've always said I'm very, very good at habits, but I'm equally good at bad habits. So I can perfect those just like I can perfect some of my good ones. And I was on a path to perfecting some really bad habits. So with that, after I got sober, I was able to kind of, in a sense, become whole again, not living with shame, not living with just managing my days. I was able to kind of come back to being centered. And then once that happened, then I decided I needed to do something, and I needed to do something that was greater than myself. And I needed to do something that was about giving back. And that sparked a crazy idea, which in the beginning, so 1 mile is, if you can do the math easy enough, it's about 4 years old. It's about 3.5 to 4 years old. And what I found out was, at first the idea was crazy. People couldn't even understand what I was trying to do. But it started off just building a network. It started off with me connecting with either a lot of individuals that I haven't been in touch with, or also expanding that network to finding other individuals that kind of understood what I was talking about without having to get over explaining it, right? I mean, you can over explain anything and someone can say, okay, I get it now. But you can also just explain some things very simply to certain individuals, and they go, oh my God, I so get it. I so understand it. And so that it started off as a network. Then the thing happened to me, which is also kind of it was it was a turning point for me. And that was, a lot of times I would talk about this network and people would say, so what? And I would try to explain it more, and they'd say, so what? But you don't understand. So what? Right? And I realized they were right. Having a network, a social network, knowing people, it's meaningless unless you can get it to turn into action. Yeah. So from the 1 Mile network that I created, I developed Team 1 Mile. And the team side of it is kind of what most people will see. It's really the action step of what we do. It's the collection of individuals coming together to doing something that's tangible. People can relate to it, they can see it, they can watch it, they can feel it. And that was always looking for that challenge, which also creates that purpose, which, so many of us need. And, I found the difference is that it's not so necessary when you're young, because you think you have a ladder to climb. You're trying to climb the social ladder, the economic ladder, all the different ladders. But when you get a little older, finding purpose sometimes is very difficult. Or again, what we can dig into a little deeper is when you're transitioning out of careers. You could be transitioning out of the military. You can transition out of being a pro athlete. You can transition from a marriage. And a lot of these things are where a lot of us can find the pitfalls and the real struggles. And so that's a little bit of who I am and how I got here. Again, as I was growing up in my 20s and 30s, and even to this day, I became friends with quite a few pro athletes. A lot of them were Green Bay Packers. And what I realized as I've grown up with them, many of them have struggled after their careers, right? There's a lot of pitfalls for pro athletes. And I saw it firsthand. And I was watching them truly, truly struggle with their transition. And a lot of people have the attitude, well, they have it all. They have it made. They've made a ton of money. Sure, that's all, practically true, but they're humans as well. So as I was watching this, a lot of the conversations we would have would kind of be about the awesomeness of our veteran community. So I saw an admiration. And I also realized, kind of being an outsider, right? I'm not civilian and I'm not a pro athlete, but I saw that admiration that some of my friends had for the military. And I would often have to remind them, hey, they're watching you on Sunday. They're admiring you. And so I saw this kind of two-way street, but yet they don't talk to each other. They don't know each other. So that too was part of my network, that I'm like, okay, veteran community over here, you need to know these guys, men or women over here, because you have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for each other. And you have the same struggles, but yet you don't communicate, you don't talk. And for the most part, you don't share, right? I think pro athletes feel that they need to share with other pro athletes, and veterans feel they need to share with other veterans. So kind of a foundation of 1 Mile is to bring these two communities together. Now, with that said, the veteran community is vast, right? It's huge. And I wanted to get away from saying just being a pro athlete. But I just looked at the athletic community itself. And that's kind of where I built up that side of it. And that could be, can be an Iron Cowboy. It can be some of us that are weekend grinders, but we're still wired the same way. The other thing I found fascinating with a lot of us is it was really just a career path, right? We're wired, we're structured the same way. It's just at some point in time, and maybe it's when you're 17 or 18, you decide, say, I'm going to go the military route. Some will continue to pursue their lifelong goals and dreams of being, whether it's a pro athlete or a collegiate athlete. But, we're chasing these dreams. Ultimately, we come back to being humans, and you realize we're not that different. Yeah. And unfortunately, the baggage and the demons that we have are not that different. Again, I've had some of my own personal struggles, and some of my other friends, both veterans and civilians, can absolutely relate, because unfortunately it's more common than not, right? Yes. And those demons can be everything I always talk about. It can be everything from the depression, PTSD, or anxiety that becomes debilitating, things that are holding us back, and part of the program is for us as strong individuals, right? So 1 Mile is filled with a lot of amazing individuals, but that's also part of the problem, right? If you're talking about, a leadership project, you're talking about individuals that have been kind of, used to being the tip of the spear, and that can be a veteran side or the civilian side, but they're not used to following. They're not used to being taken care of. They're not used to being vulnerable, right? They are the ones who take care of. They are the ones that lead. They are the ones that are out there living by example. But all that can also lead to some dark corners. So one of the things that I've tried to do over the last couple of years, especially with the team side of it, is really break it down to get us vulnerable, to put our sword and our shield down. Once we do that and have honest emotions and honest conversations, man, we can make some difference. We can make some changes. And I just got
a lot of times I think we make up our own stories, right? In our
Mhm.
head. It's not necessarily a reality. It's our limited beliefs that tell this stories in our head.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge advocate that a lot of suicides and a lot of other things are driven by shame.
Mhm.
A lot of us can deal with other things. People might not like us, conflicts, embarrassment. Some of that we can all live in. It's everyday life. But for whatever reason, I think shame can take out the best, because they can't process shame. And shame can look like a lot of different things. But I've always said that I always feel like that's a key component to the suicides. That somewhere something that's going on is something that they just can't bear. Now, whether it's family shame or marital shame or children or careers, or they just feel that there's something that they just can't bear. And again, if we can start to look at shame as nothing more than scars,
Yeah.
a lot of us will wear those proudly. We're all proud of our scars.
So true.
So if we can kind of look at them more of, these are my scars, and this because it's what I've gone through, than to look at it that it has to be a secret that I've kept in the closet. That's where it gets to be debilitating.
Yeah.